I think, yeah. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with a movement class and then do the lecture afterwards, because part of the lecture is includes us creating sequences and building classes together. And I think it would be nice to have this last class experience in your body before we start creating sequences ourselves. So there's definitely lecture in addition to us doing that, but I'm going to switch it up and hopefully that works out. So as far as the class outline for today goes, if you like to have it out, when you practice, it's this one. It's called Figure 4 Play. And props are 2 blocks and a blanket, not necessary, but if you like props, that's what I would grab, 2 blocks and a blanket. And as far as the sequencing guide for today, the hip opening with somatics, this includes, in the pre-recorded sequence, there's 2 sequences. So there's the Feldenkrais Figure 4 Play sequence, and there's the sequence 2, which is X-roll lower body initiated. And for this class outline, I am going to teach this first sequence, but you could just as easily teach the second sequence. So I wanted to give you, all of these pre-recorded sequences are plug and play. In this case, if you're teaching like a hip focused yoga class, you could use either one. All right. So put all these things aside. Oh, I know what else. Some people are asking me when my book is coming out and, when they would know. So if you want to get the discount on my book and be the first to know when it comes out, you just sign up for my newsletter, and you can do that on my website. And then you'll get a discount for the pre-sale as well as be notified as soon as it's available. So just sign up for my email. And that is it. We're going to get started. I'm going to take off my glasses. And we will be lying down on our backs to begin. And we're going to start with a body scan. So you are welcome to be in full Shavasana, where you have more contact points of your legs to the floor, or if it feels better to be in constructive rest, you could bend your knees with your feet on the floor. So either way, take a moment to go inside and gently connect your index fingers and thumb tips together. And as you begin to slow down your breath, observe the pace of your heart, your pulse. And you might be able to sense it in your awareness through your chest, or maybe you're sensing it through the connection of your index fingers to your thumbs. Perhaps more prominently, the left index finger and thumb. If you are having trouble connecting to your pulse, your heart rate, no worries at all. Just feel the ground underneath you and observe your natural breath pattern. And then I want you to imagine that you're lying on the beach in the sand. And bring your awareness to the back of your head and let your head just really slowly, lazy, roll a little from side to side. Imagining the sand that's underneath your head and how there's this perfect little concave bit of sand right underneath your head that's cradling your head. And your head's creating an imprint in the sand. And then bring your head back to center. Send your awareness to the back of your neck. And you probably notice either the sand is built up and it's touching the back of your neck, or maybe there's some space between the back of your neck and the sand. Just observing. And then send your awareness down to your upper back, your shoulder blades, and specifically your right shoulder blade. See if you can visualize the shape of it and the imprint it's creating in the sand. And then shift your awareness over to your left shoulder blade. And notice the imprint that your left shoulder blade makes in the sand. And if you are a normal human being, one probably feels a little heavier than the other or lighter. That is totally normal. We don't use both sides of our body equally, and we don't need to. Then visualize your entire rib basket. So the first rib starts all the way up at the bottom of your neck, and the rib rings go all the way down to where your upper, I guess I should say, where your lower back begins. So the 12th rib is kind of the uppermost part before you find your low back, your lumbar spine, and let your whole rib cage and arms settle into the sand. And then notice, bring your awareness to your lower back. Maybe the sand is built up into the concavity of your lumbar lordosis, or maybe there's some space between your low back and the sand underneath you. Then notice how your sacrum, your tailbone, can sink into the sand, and send your awareness to your right buttock, the right side of your pelvis. Imagining if you were to get up and walk away, what would the imprint of your right buttock and then your left buttock be in the sand? And again, just like shoulder blades, maybe one feels a little lighter, heavier, more or less connected to the sand beneath you. Then right back of the thigh, right calf and heel. What imprint does your whole right leg and foot make in the sand? And then finally, shift your awareness over to your left thigh, left calf, left heel, noticing the imprint that your left leg and foot make in the sand. And then put all of that together in your mind's eye, your whole back body, and the imprint it's making in the sand, how the sand rises up to meet you and support you. Taking a slow breath in through your nose, let your belly and ribs expand. Once you've filled up your lungs completely, let it go. Exhale. I'll do that one more time. Slow breath in, starting in your belly, your gut grows. Your rib cage expands 360 degrees. Circumferentially, you fill up your lungs, and then you empty. Letting your body nestle its way into the sand. Then go ahead and bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, and come into a figure four. So you're gonna have your left ankle right above your right knee, but keep your right foot on the floor, lift your left foot up enough that you can grab it with your right hand. And you're going to make a small movement at your left knee joint. So just bending and straightening your left knee a little bit. And you can play, right? Maybe as you do this movement, your left knee is further out to the side, to the left. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe as you mildly bend and straighten your left knee, your right foot is more over to the right. And just notice how they're both wonderful and they might both have different sensations. Okay, keep the grip of your right hand to your left foot, but take your left hand to the back of your head. And this time, as you straighten your left knee a little bit, you're going to lift your head up with your hand, and then you'll lower your head as you lower your foot. So again, I want you to play around with, what's your go-to? Like, are you immediately like curling up as high as you can, as if you were doing a core crunch? And if you are, well, maybe how could you make it smaller or easier? How could you make it lazier? If you're really connected to your midline, meaning each time you lift your head, your nose is kind of in line with your belly button, what would happen if you lifted your head over to the left a little or over to the right? Same thing with your left foot. Maybe when you lift and lower, like we did before, it's not always right through your center line. There's different angles and vectors you might explore. Do 2 more. And then release. Let your left foot come back to the ground. Let your arms come back to the floor. Take a moment to pause in constructive rest and just notice the imprint of your back body in the sand. And then hug your knees to your chest. Rock yourself up to seated. We're going to come into cobbler's pose with your feet together. And then take your hands behind you and come into just a really lazy slump. I just say that word. So let your shoulders go up to your ears, passive elevation of the shoulder blades. Let your spine round. And then do the opposite. Push your hands into the ground and tilt your pelvis forward. Maybe you also arch your spine. And then you go back. So we're just going to move the pelvis forward and back, and you get to decide how big or how small that is. So maybe you keep your feet glued together, or maybe they're just, kind of plopped open and only the outer edges of your feet are touching. And as you roll your pelvis forward and back, maybe your shoulders slide up and down, maybe they don't. So again, you're just exploring the movement. Do 1 or 2 more times. Happy tail, sad tail. Maybe you take your hands to a different position. Maybe you change the tempo a little bit. And then we're going to come into Sukhasana, but you'll have your, make sure I get it right. Yes, left foot in front of the right. And then you're going to take both of your hands and hold on to your left foot and rock back a little behind your sits bones. You'll straighten your left knee a little bit, and that's going to pull. It feels really good. It's going to give you a nice little upper back stretch. And then you'll bend your knee and come back. So this sequence, we're spending a lot of time moving into and out of external rotation and spinal flexion. And that's because we're going to do a fun little rolling pattern at the end that requires a good amount of external rotation and spinal flexion. So as you do this, same thing, like what happens when you take your left leg a little out to the left or a little over to the right? What happens when you keep it really small versus maybe you make it really big, like a archery type of bow and arrow move? Do 1 more and then come back. Go ahead and let go. Place your feet back on the floor and lie on your back again in constructive rest. And take a moment to notice your body's imprint in the sand. Notice your right and left shoulder blades on the sand, your right and left buttocks. And then cross your left ankle above your right knee like a figure 4, but keep your right foot on the ground. And this time we're going to grab our left foot with both hands, interlacing your fingers, kind of like a little sandwich. And then let your left knee go out to the side and back. And we'll do this maybe 7 or 8 times. So maybe as you do it, your foot is more above your belly or your chest. Or maybe as you do it, your foot is lower. It's more above your pubic bone, your pelvis. And just notice how that changes the sensation. Maybe you take your left foot a little more over to the right, or you just keep it more center and out to the side. Do 2 more. Let it be easy. It's not like we're trying to create the biggest, stretchiest movement. Okay, and then find the floor with your left foot, but take your feet wide. And you'll keep your left leg exactly as it is, but your right leg is going to drop in towards the midline. So you'll feel the weight shift from the sole of your right foot to the inner edge of your right foot, and then you just come back to the sole of your right foot. So it's internal rotation of the left hip, and then just back to this wide-legged constructive rest position. And just noticing, we did a lot of external rotation with the left leg, but when we do the rolling pattern, your right hip will be an internal rotation. So just getting a sense of when your right knee drops towards the midline, what happens? Does your whole right buttock leave the ground, or does it stay on the ground? There's no right or wrong, you're just noticing. And then take a little rest from that. Notice your connection to the sand. And then walk your feet back a little closer to each other. Cross your left ankle above your right knee, figure 4. Keep your right foot on the ground. And again, you'll take both of your hands and hold your left foot. Then we're going to do what we did with the right knee just a moment ago. You're going to let your right knee and thigh drop in towards the midline. But you're also going to roll all the way over onto your side and up to seated in this Z-sit, or what do they call it? Yeah, Z-sit, mermaid. So play around with this rolling pattern. Your right thigh and knee drop to the midline, and then you roll onto your side and up to seated. And the cool thing about somatics is you get to figure it out. So I teach this all the time, and when I was teaching in-person classes, but to my privates as well, my private students. And there's different strategies that work for different people to make this easier. So if a strategy you're trying right now isn't working, try a different strategy. And then when you finish the one that you're on, go ahead and take a rest with your legs long. And notice your imprint in the sand. Notice especially the right heel and calf, right thigh. Sorry, I should say left. That's what I meant to say. So notice your left heel and left calf, your left thigh and your left buttock, the whole left side of your torso, your left side of your rib cage, your left shoulder blade, left arm and left side of your head. And observe the imprint in the sand of your left body half. And then shift your awareness over to the right side of your head, right side of your neck, right arm and right shoulder blade, right side of your rib cage, right side waist and right buttock, right leg and right foot. And you might feel like one side is a lot heavier or lighter than the other, or just easier to connect your brain to one side of your body, or not. So in a Feldenkrais class, we might do a whole class with many, many more movements than just the ones we've done. And so it would take the whole hour, and we might just do everything on one side, believe it or not. But because this is a yoga class and we're just doing the somatic sequence to warm up, and we like to feel more even, we're going to do everything on the other side. So this time your left hand is going to hold your right foot. And you'll start to bend and straighten your right knee a little bit, just like we did on the other side, and just checking in, noticing how this feels. And then keep a hold of your right foot with your left hand, but take your right hand behind your head. And as you straighten your knee a little bit, you'll lift your head a little bit. And then everything comes back down. So continue with this movement. And feel free to change it up. Maybe do the movement at different angles or different vectors. Make the movement bigger or smaller. You can choose how to breathe. You can just breathe naturally, or you could link your breath with your movement. Do one more. And then release your head, release your foot, and pause for a moment in constructive rest. And then hug your knees to your chest, roll up to seated for cobbler's pose. So soles of the feet together, hands on the ground, and start rocking and rolling your pelvis forward and back. And you can, again, make this as big or small as you like. You can, just tuck and untuck your pelvis. You can make it a cat-cow. Maybe your hands aren't on the floor. Maybe they're on your shins as you rock your pelvis forward and back. So explore. Maybe, you've got two hands on one shin as you rock your pelvis forward and back. Okay, and then this time, Sukhasana, cross your legs, but the right shin is on top. And take both of your hands, interlace your fingers, and grab a hold of your right foot. All right, just let me know what time it is. Okay, so with both hands holding your right foot, you'll round your spine, lean back as you straighten your knee a little bit, and then coming back up. And we'll do that 2 or 3 more times. And then when you finish the last one, go ahead and place your feet back on the floor and come into constructive rest. Pause for a moment, notice your connection to the ground, to the sand. And then you're going to take a hold of your right foot with your left hand. And then take your right knee out to the right and back again. And as you do this, again, you can play with where is your right foot. So maybe it's closer to your pelvis as your thigh bone goes out and in. Maybe it's more up towards the ceiling. Oh, and actually, when we did this last time, we did it with both hands. Sorry. So you can do it with both hands. Okay, and then let go. Both feet are on the ground, but they're mat's width distance apart. You'll keep your right leg as it is, but you're going to let your left knee drop in, left leg, and then come back. So you're rolling from the sole of your left foot to the inner edge of your left foot, and then back to the sole of your left foot. And remember, that's the initiation phase of the rolling pattern, is internal rotation of one hip, and you'll be in external rotation of the other with that constraint of holding your foot with your hand. Talk about constraints on Friday. Okay, so both hands are going to hold your right foot. You'll drop your left knee in towards the midline and then roll onto your side and up to seated. And then you roll back down onto your side and you're back where you began. So do this 2 or 3 more times because I don't know, with a lot of my private clients, one side is totally different than the other. Like sometimes they can get up on one side and not the other, or If they struggle the first side, once they've mapped the motor pattern, then the second side is no problem. And then they go back to the first side and they can do it. So explore. Notice what you notice about rolling on this side. All right. And then go ahead and release your foot. You can return to constructed rest or Shavasana and reconnect your awareness to your whole body's imprint in the sand. And beginning with your right heel, right calf, and right thigh. Noticing the connection to the sand. Then your right buttock, right side waist, right rib cage and right shoulder blade, right arm and right hand, and the imprint in the sand. And then finally, the right side of your neck and the right side of your head. Map in your awareness your whole right body half and the imprint it makes in the sand. And then shift your awareness to the left. Left heel and calf, left thigh and buttock, left side waist, left side of your rib cage, left shoulder blade and arm, left hand and left side of your neck, and the left side of your head. Put both body halves together in your mind's eye. And if you could float up out of your body, walk away about 10 feet and look back, what would the imprint of your body in the sand look like? If your eyes are closed, go ahead and open your eyes, bend your knees, and we're going to warm up our hips a little bit. So we did a Cook hip lift on the chair yesterday. Today we're going to do it without a chair. So you'll take both of your arms to the ground, kind of a low V. So not straight out and not close in, somewhere in between. And then without using your hands, you're going to bring your right knee as close to your right chest as possible. And then plant your left foot into the ground, especially that left big toe. You're tucking your pelvis under, engaging your left glutes, and it's a very rounded spine here. So it's just pure hip extension in the left hip and then hip flexion in the right. So yeah, you're pretty rounded. Your mid back is heavily weighted into the floor. We're going to hold here for 2 more breaths. Yes, keep driving your left heel, your left toes, the left ball of your foot into the ground to open up through that front left hip crease. It's not easy. And then slowly lower back down. Cross your left ankle above your right knee. Interlace your fingers behind your right thigh. Take a little figure 4 stretch for a moment. And then we'll do the other side. So arms come back to the floor, low V. And this time it's your left knee that comes in towards your chest. Your right heel is pretty close to your right buttock. And you'll start by posteriorly tilting your pelvis, so tucking under, engaging your right glutes, pushing into the ground with your right foot to get pure hip extension on the right and a lot of hip flexion on the left. Press the back of your head into the floor, your shoulders, your hands, your arms. We're going to take 2 more breath cycles here. You might feel yourself try to hip hike a lot on the left side, so you can depress the left ilium bone or lengthen the left side of your waist by shortening the right side. Oh, 1 more breath here, maybe lift a little higher in that flexed spine, and then slowly lower back down. Okay, hug your knees to your chest, cross your ankles, and then roll yourself up to Sukhasana. And we're gonna come right into 4-point kneeling. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And we're gonna start with some palm raises. We did these yesterday. So you'll peel at the base of your hands, the heels of your hands, and your thumbs. And then you'll slowly lower down as if there was a block between your forearms. So you're creating tension here. And then you slowly lift up, creating tension, irradiation. And then you continue to lift all the way up so that I like to think of it as a calf raise. You know, we did those yesterday where you lift your heels up and you're on the balls of your feet, but it's for your hands. So we're going to go for 4 more of these just to get this connection through the armpits, through the triceps, into the forearms and hands. And if it feels too easy, walk your knees a little closer. And then when you lift up, lean further forward, and it's more load, so it'll be more challenge. Last 2. And last one, hugging the elbows in, starting to feel a little heat. Okay, then interlace your fingers, but take your pinky fingers out of the equation here. So then you're gonna tuck your toes and come into a dolphin, but kind of a wide-legged dolphin. So your feet are a good distance apart. Then look up at your fingers, so neck extension. And we'll do a little push-up here, so to speak. So you're gonna slide forward your chin over your pinky fingers and then push back. And yes, you're in neck extension. And of course, you could modify this by keeping your knees on the ground. We're gonna go for 4 more. Hello, serratus and armpit strength. Some good work for the neck extensors. Last 2. And 1. And then lower your knees, pause for a moment, and rest in child's pose. Okay, so from here, we're going to come into downward facing dog. And in your downward facing dog, I want you to do the same thing where instead of flexing, I want you to look forward and extend your neck. So you can see just beyond your hands. And then come out of that extension just a little bit. Push the floor away so your ears are more in between your biceps. One more time, lift your head. So now your head is above your arms and you can see the front of the mat. And then do the opposite, push back so that your ears are more in between your upper arm bones. Walk your feet closer together, lift your heels up, and then lift your right leg up and back. From here, you're gonna come into a plank with a pigeon leg. So you're working to externally rotate the right hip, trying to bring your right ankle to your left wrist and your right knee to your right wrist. Gonna hold here for 4, 3, 2, and then on 1, you'll lower your shin, lower your knee, walk your hands forward to, I call it like cupcake hands. You don't want to smash the icing, or spider fingers, for some spinal undulation. So arch as you lower and round as you lift. 2 more times. And then place your hands back on the ground. We're gonna reconnect again in our pigeon plank. So push the ground away, lifting your right knee up to your right elbow, your right ankle towards your left wrist, hard to talk. And then you're gonna, take your right foot out to the side. So we're in this wide-legged lunge with our hands in the center. And then from here, you'll bend your left knee, just tap the ground and come back up. And we'll do that 2 more times. So as you bend your knee and tap the ground, if you want, you can lift your chest a little and back up. Let's go 2 more times. This is a great place to put blocks under your hands if you want your arms to be longer. I always want my arms to be longer. And then we'll pause here in a version of pyramid pose. But again, I want you to reach your arms way out in front of you. Come up to the spider fingers or cupcake hands. And you can stay like this, or if you want, you can peel up the ball of your right foot and then lower it back down. 2 more times, little gas pedal, or just keep the ball of your right foot on the ground. Okay, then you're gonna step your left foot all the way wide. So you're in this wide-legged forward fold with eagle arms, right arm underneath the left. Pause here for a moment and just enjoy being upside down. If you wanna wiggle a little bit, let the weight of your arms and your head traction your spine. And then we're gonna lengthen into a squat. So think of a long line going from the crown of your head out to your tailbone. Yes, so lots of upper back muscles. Pull the mat apart and then traction from your fingers to your sits bones as you start to stand all the way up, lengthening into a thoracic back bend. So engage your glutes and let the back bend come from the mid-back up. And then slowly release your arms. Unwrap. Sweep the arms out to the sides, up to the ceiling, hands connect in prayer. And you're gonna bring your right knee to your chest to balance. And then here we go again, that pigeon leg. And then from your pigeon leg, here we go again, figure 4. You'll start to sit back and then pretend you were gonna do an arm balance. So extend your wrists, bring your forearms parallel to each other. Maybe you do, forearms or elbows to shin or not. I have a super long torso. So it doesn't feel very accessible, especially on this side for me. So all of this stuff is good. Whatever you're doing is good. You're gonna slowly come up, try to keep your balance on your left foot and knee. Arms reach all the way up to the ceiling, hands in prayer. Hallelujah, put your right foot down. Whew. Shift your weight over onto your right foot and then reach back with your left hand and grab your left foot for a quad stretch. So in Eka Pada Galavasana, which is the arm balance where you're in that pigeon, one leg is straight back and the other is in the figure 4. And so we are going to warm up in every possible way for that pose. And I actually don't do that pose. I do like the part all the way up until I lift the leg off the floor. There's so much good stuff to happen along the way. Okay, ramp up the tension on your left hamstrings for 4, 3, 2, 1. When you let go, try to keep your foot where it is for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands in prayer, top of the foot stretch for the left foot. So it's kind of awkward, right? We definitely don't do this very often. And I like to bend and straighten my right knee a few times. You can kind of roll from pinky side to big toe side. And then sweep your arms out to the sides, up to the ceiling. And then back down. I want you to clasp your hands behind your back. And then bend your front knee and transition into a lunge. Lower your back knee to the floor. And then that same thoracic back bend we did with eagle arms, try it here with your hands clasped. For 4, 3, 2, 1. And then release your hands, place them on the floor. You're gonna step all the way back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to lift your head and extend your neck. You can see the mat between your hands. And then up onto the balls of your feet, shift forward to plank. From plank, either knees down or knees up. We're gonna lower slowly for 5, 4, 3, 2, And then on one, you land, untuck the toes. Take your hands back out into the cupcake or spider fingers, and we'll undulate again. So arching as you lower and curling and rounding as you lift. And one of my favorite things to do is add a little bit of a lion's breath. Or, it's a really good excuse to stretch your face and stick your tongue out and make some sounds. If you want to join me, we'll do that. Inhaling, exhale. Ha. One more time. Inhale. Ha. Okay, so from here, you're gonna hover your hands in your cobra pose and then plant the hands down, push up and back to downward facing dog. Go ahead and shake your head, pedal it out. We're gonna do everything on the other side. So from downward dog, you're gonna come forward to your plank. And this time it's gonna be pigeon with the left leg. Whew. So left knee to left elbow, left ankle to right wrist. Pushing the ground away and then lower down. Let the back knee bend. And take a moment here to walk your hands forward. So we can do the spinal undulations again. So you arch as you go down, and then you curl as you come up. 2 more times. And then reconnect your hands to the ground. Here we go again. Hover your pigeon leg. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. So we're in this wide-legged lunge here, and then we're gonna tap the back knee down as you lift the chest up a bit, and then straighten both of your legs and fold. We'll do that a few more times. Inhale, tap, look forward, exhale, fold. Breathing in and out. Last time. Inhale. And then exhale, pyramid pose. Walk your hands as far away from you as possible with the spider fingers. You can keep your left foot connected, or if you want, you can peel the ball of your left foot up and put it back down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're gonna step the back foot all the way forward and wide. Left arm under right for eagle arms in a ragdoll. So pause here. Let the weight of your arms and your head traction your spine. Take a moment to inhale into the backside ribcage area. And then as you exhale, you're gonna start to roll slowly up and then lengthen into the lunge. Sorry, the squat. So you're pulling the floor apart with your feet. Your knees are wide, and it's almost like you're a table. They could put appetizer on the back of your head, main course on your mid back, dessert on your lower back. There's one long line from your head to your tail, and then reach through the arms to traction for 4, 3, 2. On 1, you're gonna slowly come up into your thoracic back bend. Lift your chest, lift your arms, lift your gaze, and then unwrap the arms, sweep them all the way out to sides, up to the ceiling. Palms come together, and this time it's left knee to your chest. And then we go into pigeon leg. And then right back into our figure 4. In your figure 4, you can begin to do pretend forearm balance position. So wrists are extending, you're trying to straighten all of your knuckles. This side is easier for me, I can actually hook. So totally normal, right? To be different on each side. Pushing elbows to shin, shin to elbow, or just being where you are. And then as you come up, arms sweep out, left knee lifts. Oh, so hard. Hands to prayer. Oh my gosh, put your left foot down. Hallelujah. Shift over into your left foot and then grab your right foot with your right hand for a quad stretch. Ramp up the tension in your right hamstrings for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then open chain, let go. For 5, 4, 3, 2, into your top of the foot stretch. So you can bend your front knee a little bit and start to wiggle pinky toe, big toe. You can bend and straighten your left knee. Now find your top of the foot stretch and then circle your arms all the way out to the sides, up to the ceiling. And then sweep them back, interlace, clasp your hands behind your back. Shift forward, step back into a lunge. And then lower your back knee down and come into that same thoracic back bend. And then hands to the floor on either side of your front foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment to make any shifts or wiggles. And then lift your heels, shift forward to plank. Knees can drop down or stay up. We're going to lower for a slow count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Untuck the toes. And then take your hands and find your spider fingers, your cupcake hands. Arch on the way up. And, curl on the way up. And arch on the way down. 2 more times. Cat on the way up. Cow on the way down. Last time. Breathing in and out. And then hover your hands in your cobra. Push your hands into the ground. And if you want to come into upward facing dog, or just go right from cobra into downward facing dog. And then take a moment here to shake your head out, shake your hips out, and then lift your heels high. So in an arm balance, it's a lot of flexion. So we're going to walk our feet to our hands without bending our knees or our elbows. So your shoulders are going to go way up to your ears in order to get this position, right? And then once you've arrived, lower your heels to the ground. Take a moment to clasp your elbows, hang in a ragdoll. You can swing a little from side to side. I'm fixing my hands. All right. And you're going to sweep your arms out to the sides, up to the ceiling. Connect your hands in prayer. Bring your prayer hands to your chest. And then it's right knee to chest. Right pigeon leg. And then right side figure 4. Ooh. Pause for a moment. Take your arms out to the sides. Knee comes back up. Ooh. Place your foot on the ground. Shift your weight into your right leg. Without using your left hand, bring your left heel to your left sits bone. Oh, cramp city. For 4, 3, hands to prayer. 2, bend your right knee. And warrior 3, straighten the left leg out. So in that arm balance, right, the back leg is straight out with the toes pointed, Ekapada Galavasana. And then land your left foot, lunge, arms reach up. Take a breath in, and we're going to transition into warrior 2. So your right knee is bent. From warrior 2, come right into extended side angle pose. Feel that long line from your left fingers to your left outer ankle, and then spin your chest towards the floor. Frame your right foot with your hands, and we're going to come back into that low lunge where your left knee taps, and then you're back up in the pyramid. 2 more times. Tapping the left knee, and then lift and lengthen. One more. Tap. And then lengthen. And then reach your spider fingers into that pyramid pose. Super long, shoulders up to the ears. And if you want, you can pick up the ball of the foot and lower it down for 3, 2, and 1. Hands come to the ground, step back to plank. And this is a wide-legged plank. Wide hands, wide legs. You'll see why in a moment. You're going to shift your weight onto your right hand and more onto your right foot, and then bring your left hand to the chest. And then come back. It's not a huge shift, but it's a shift. Shift left. Try not to rotate anywhere. Right hand to chest. Come back. We add on or not. So you shift left hand to chest, right leg hovers. And then replace the left hand, the right foot. Woo. Shift to the left. Find your global tension. So glutes, abdominals, everything is tensing. Right hand to your chest. Left leg floats up. Right hand returns. Left foot returns. And then we lower down for a slow count. I'm going to do knees down, so I'm going to pooped for 3, 2, 1. Come into cobra or upward facing dog. And then we meet back in downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, hips go up and back. And then high heels, knees and elbows straight. You walk your feet all the way up to your hands. You're folding in half. And then lower the heels and roll yourself up to stand. Arms sweep out and up. And this time it's left knee to your chest. Left leg is pigeon. And then left figure 4. Ooh. Okay, from your figure 4, take a moment. Yes, hands are in prayer. And then come all the way back out. Left foot to the ground. Good, I know what time it is. And we're going to go right into the quad stretch. So hands in prayer, right heel to right sits bone. Bend your left knee into warrior 3. Holding for 4, 3, 2, step back, crescent lunge, arms lift up. And then spin into your warrior 2, reaching wide. Feel the external rotation of the left hip, and then extended side angle pose. Spin your head and chest down towards the floor. Frame your left foot with your hands, and then we tap the back knee down and up. 2 more times. Just kind of testing the pyramid pose. On the 3rd time, you'll walk your fingertips way far away, and if you like, some toe taps on the left for 3, 2, 1. Hands plant down. We're back in our plank. Wide hands, wide feet. Global tension. Pull them out apart with your hands and your feet. Shift to the left. Right hand to chest. Put it back down. Shift a little to the right. Left hand to your chest. Left hand goes back down. Shift a little to the left. Right hand to chest. Maybe left leg lifts. You replace both. Shift to the right. Left hand to your chest. Right leg lifts. Oh boy. Lower the hand, lower the foot, bend the knees, lower down for 4, 3, 2, 1. We are almost there. Take a breath in. Come into that wide armed cobra. And then plant your hands, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Right knee is pigeon leg in your plank. This time, we lower the pigeon leg down to the basement, and then up to the penthouse. 2 more times. Lower and lift. 3rd time, lower and lift. And then lower your front shin. And you're going to keep your back knee straight, but come back to those spider fingers. Press the top of your right shin and foot into the ground, and then lift your left leg up. Then from here, you'll really get a good taste of what's going on with the external rotation of your hip. So lift your right hand, usually no problem. But as you lift your left hand, if you start to spin to the right, you'll know what I'm talking about. Ooh. So this side is a little easier to manage. So flying pigeon for me. Oh my goodness. Lower back down. So let's come into a passive pigeon on the side. And it's just so like, oh my God, thank goodness that's over. Tap your head to the floor. Take a slow breath in and out. And then bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Tuck the back toes under and bring your right foot out to the side. So you're in this low, wide lunge. And then shift your hips back. Peel the sole of your right foot up for a nice hamstring stretch. We'll go forward and back 2 more times. The next time you go back, you can stay hands on the ground, or if you want to lift your your torso up a little bit, and then externally rotate your right thigh. It's a little more of a stretch in that lateral hamstring. It just feels like work for me to get that action to happen. And then back to parallel, hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're gonna hop forward to a wide forward fold. And then we come back into the eagle arms, right arm underneath left. You'll round your spine, rolling yourself all the way up to stand into your thoracic back bend. Oh, feels so good. And then the arms unwind. They sweep out to the sides, hands in prayer, right knee to chest. Right leg is your pigeon. Right leg is your figure 4. You can start to lower down and bring your forearms parallel, extend at the wrists. Maybe you hook. Oh, I can hook on the side. Cool. That warm-up helped. All right. And then from here, you can plant your hands on the floor. And this is that moment where if you want to bring your left heel to your left sits bone, go for it. If you want to send your left leg straight out and back behind you, go for it. I'm going to stay here and just feel my body weight into my hands for 4, 3, 2, and then on 1, reconnect your left heel to the ground. Sweep your arms out to the side, right knee to chest. Oh my goodness. And then you lower your foot to the ground. Whew. Okay, so we're gonna do all that on the other side. Inhale, arms sweep out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Step back, right foot, left foot, downward facing dog. And then inhale forward to your plank. This time we go left pigeon leg. So bring your left knee to your left elbow, your left ankle to your right elbow. We go down to the basement and then up to the top floor. 2 more times, lower and lift. Last one, lower and lift. Hello, core. Oh my goodness. Lower down. Come to your cupcake fingers, your spider fingers, and press the top of your left shin and foot into the ground to lift your right leg up. Whew. All right, find some global tension. So especially inner thigh connection helps me. Try not to back bend, so feel that connection to your core. And then lift your left arm up, put it down. Right arm up, put it down. And this is the moment where if you lift both arms and you spin like a top over to the left. Yeah, that's okay. Try lifting maybe both arms for flying pigeon. Woo! Holy cow, work in that left hip, for me at least. Hands to the floor, left foot to the ground, back knee drops. Go ahead and walk your sits bones to your heels for a hamstring stretch, and then back forward. 2 more. Last time. Externally rotate. So you can lift your torso up a little, but we're externally rotating the left hip and then holding there, pushing the outer edge of your heel into the floor for 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to parallel. Come back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to pedal it out. And then we'll hop forward to that wide stance. And we're ready for our eagle arms. So this time it's left arm under right. And then you roll yourself up one spinal bone at a time, as if that were possible. Coming through Tadasana into your thoracic back bend. Lifting and lengthening. Unwrap the arms. Arms sweep out to the sides, hands in prayer. And this time it's left knee to your chest. Left leg pigeon. Here we go. Left leg figure 4. Helps me to say left and right so I don't mess up my sequencing. Little secret there, right? And you learn as you go. All right, from here, we start to come into forearms parallel. Wrists are extended, trying to straighten all the knuckles of your fingers. And then maybe you're able to push elbows to shin to elbows. From there, you can lower down far enough to plant your hands on the ground. And then here is your moment. If you want to bring your right heel to your right sits bone. If you want to send your right leg straight out and back behind you, keep your gaze a little in front of you. Whew. For 4, 3, 2, and then on 1, you'll reconnect your right heel to the ground. Sweep the arms out and up. Oh boy, let me just hands to prayer. And then lowering your foot to the ground. All right, so from here, gonna roll it down and then step it back, downward facing dog. Take a moment to slow your breath down and then bend your knees and lower yourself into Virasana or kneeling position. Okay, so we are going to do a little back bending, lots of options. If you want to make your arms longer, grab a brick. You'll take your right hand either to the floor outside of your right foot or to the brick. And then from here, you're going to tuck your pelvis under as you extend your hips and then reach up, so a rotated camel pose. And then lower back down, find the floor or the block with your left hand. Start to tuck the pelvis under, so same movement pattern we did yesterday. Hip extension first, spinal extension second. And then back down. So play around with that a couple more times, either with the blocks. Some of you might want to tuck your toes and grab your heel bone. Last one on each side. And then if you're feeling it and you want to do traditional Ustrasana or camel pose, feel free to take your time to do that. So posteriorly tilting the pelvis, engage your glutes, and then either grab your heels or blocks as you lift your chest up. For 4, 3, 2, and then on 1, bring your chin to your chest, round your shoulders forward, and body wave yourself Back down, untuck the toes. Take a moment in child's pose to follow your breath with your awareness. And then imagine your arms are just dead weight. And you're a fish in the sea. And the fisher person in the sky hooks you right around the center of your body and starts to reel you in, up and out of the ocean. Your head is the last thing to come up and the first thing to come out of the water. From Virasana, we're going to shift into Dandasana. So take a seat with your legs out in front of you. And then we'll roll down to supine. So sequential articulation. You reach forward with your hands as you tuck under with the pelvis, lowering just the sacrum, pause. Just the low back, pause. Middle back, pause. And then upper body. Bend your knees, find the floor. We recheck our figure 4 roll. So your right, both your hands are gonna hold your left foot. Your right knee drops in towards the midline. You roll onto your left side and up to your Z-sit. And then you side bend, rounding your spine, rolling it back. Do 1 or 2 more on the left side. Noticing how it feels now versus how it felt earlier. And then when you're ready to switch, you switch. Both hands hold the right foot, fingers interlaced. Left knee leads the way, left knee and thigh fall inward as you roll onto your side and up to seated. Try it 1 or 2 more times, noticing if this skill, this movement pattern makes a little more sense in your body or not. And then release your foot with your fingers and find your way into any comfortable resting position. So that might be traditional Shavasana, that might be constructive rest or legs up the wall. Once you've found your position, pause and reconnect your index fingers to your thumb tips. And just like at the very beginning of class, send your awareness to the pace of your heart and the pace of your breath. Watching them both slow down together. Notice if it's easier to sense your heart's pace, your heartbeat, either in the center of your chest or via the connection of your index fingers to your thumbs, especially the left index finger to the left thumb tip. And then go back to your imprint in the sand. Is it easier to sense your body's imprint in the sand? The right body half and the left body half. As you breathe in, give yourself time to allow your belly and ribs to expand. As you exhale, give yourself time to notice how the sand rises up to meet you and support you. you have more time, you're always welcome to stay and relax here in Shavasana for as long as you like. If you're ready to bring some movement back into your body, start really slow, wiggling your fingers and your toes, rolling your head slowly from side to side. And then connect the soles of your feet to the ground. Roll onto one side or the other. And press yourself up to seated. And then once you're seated, find a comfortable position. So if there's any props that you want to get to make that position feel better, pause for a moment, connecting your index fingers and thumb tips together one last time. Noticing the pulsation of your heartbeat between your index fingers and thumb tips. And then bring your right hand to your chest and your left hand on top. Once again, noticing the pace of your heartbeat. If your eyes are closed, slowly open them and then release your hands.